Michael's essay is an exemplification editorial that's going to go on the second page of our Sunday paper, right next to Dietz's article about dogs.
Mine's on the right page.
So Michael begins by saying, in the essay, Bombs Bursting in the Air, Beth Johnson develops the extended metaphor of bombs exploding unexpectedly to represent the tragedies that occur without warning in our daily lives. Herself a survivor of innumerable life bombs, Johnson suggests that in light of life's fragility, we need to remember and appreciate what's really important to us. But very often, we lose sight of what truly matters in our lives, instead occupying ourselves with trivial distractions. In particular, many of us choose to spend our lives in pursuit of material possessions. Much of our time goes into buying new things, dealing with complications they create, and working madly to buy more things or pay for the things we already have. So right here, this is where Michael really develops his organization that he's going to keep throughout the whole essay. So he starts off by making his own interpretation of bombs bursting in the air, and then explaining it to how it affects us in our daily lives. And his thesis in particular, many of us choose to spend our lives in pursuit of material possessions, is a generalization, but he's going to prove that with facts and details throughout the essay. And he finishes the intro by making suggestions and commands for what we should be focusing on in our lives, which is what we already have and have been given. Okay, so realism is going to go over the part that she edited now.
So Michael wrote this specific...
Oh, sorry.
How did you get that picture? I only sent it to Michael.
It's for my scrapbook.
So Michael wrote this whole section right here about the materialistic ways that Americans really put into their types of daily lives. And he says, we devote a great deal of our lives to acquiring the material goods we imagine are essential to our well-being. So this right here really sets up the entire paragraph and how the rest of it is going to tie in to what this is saying. So then he goes into hours are spent planning and, Michael, is that thinking? Thinking about our future purchases.
Michael has really bad handwriting.
Yes, I could have told you that, thank you. We window shop for designer jogging shoes. I'm sure Dietz knows all about that. And we leaf through magazines holding at ads for new sound equipment. We research back issues for Consumer Reports to find out about recent developments in exercise equipment. So this entire thing is trying to relate back to the common American and what they are standing for and just how it contrasts with what he is finding ideal for families and things like that. Moreover, once we find what we are looking for, more time is taken up when we decide to actually buy the items. So he's saying that we spend so much time thinking about all these different things like jogging shoes, ads, sound equipment, but we never actually take time to buy them.
Those are really good examples.
And then, actually when we do decide to buy them, we take up even more time out of our family lives and things that should be spent doing things more productive. Then he goes into exactly what I just said. How do we find this time? Where do we find the time in our already busy lives to put all this stuff into it? It's taking stuff out of our work lives, our family lives, our friend lives, and we're filling it up with all this nonsense with stuff that we don't really need. We turn evenings, weekends, and holiday time that used to be set aside for family and friends into shopping expeditions. So like I just said, we're spending all of this and taking up family and friend time. No wonder family life is deteriorating and children spend so much time in front of television sets. Their parents are seldom around. So this entire last sentence is all bringing it back to this first sentence about how we devote so much of our lives to materialistic items. So as you can see in this paragraph, he's using a lot of realism to relate back to people's daily lives.
Going over the third paragraph. As soon as we take our new purchases home, they begin to complicate our lives. Even though this is a generalization, it relates back to his realistic second paragraph. A sleek new sports car has to be washed, waxed, and vacuumed. A fashionable pair of overpriced dress pants can't be thrown in the washing machine, but must be taken to the dry cleaner. New sound equipment has to be connected with a tangled network of cables to the TV, computer, and speakers. So all these are really specific examples. None of these are broad, and they're very specific details to relatable situations in our life. Eventually, of course, the inevitable happens. This is, again, suggesting a generalization or an idea. Our indispensable possessions break down and need to be repaired. The home computer starts to lose data, the microwave has to have its temperature controls adjusted, and the DVD player has to be serviced when a disc becomes jammed in the machine. So again, he's suggesting detailed ideas. One time, I went shopping with my little dog, and he's spotted, and his name's Rover, but he doesn't look like a rover. But anyway, I went shopping, and I got these black pair of pants. It was the ones that I was wearing when I went to that coffee shop where the hurricane blew down the stop sign. But anyway, the pants were really cute because they had bedazzled and stuff all over, and they had these really cute buttons at the top.
Your details are overwhelming me and distracting from our purpose of this meeting.
Okay, you're right. Back to the point. The fourth paragraph. After more time has gone by, we sometimes discover that our purchases don't suit us anymore, and so we decide to replace them. Before making our replacement purchases, though, we have to find ways to get rid of the old items. If we want to replace our small 19-inch television set, that's very specific with the numbers, with a 35-inch flat screen, flat is a very good descriptive word. We have to find time to put an ad in the classified section of the paper. Hey, we have a newspaper. Then we have to handle phone calls and set up times people can come to look at the TV. We could store the set in the basement if we are lucky enough to find a spot that isn't already filled with our discarded purchases. With this chronological sequencing, he includes very detailed situations that apply and relate to the common American.
So, to conclude his paper, Michael states, worst of all, this mania for possessions often influences our approach to work. This worst of all clause indicates that he's using an emphatic organization because he's stating his strongest point last. So he goes on to say that it's not unusual for people to take a second or even a third job to pay off the debt they fall into because they have overbought. So again, he's using a cause and effect organization by saying by buying too much, people are going into debt, causing them to get a second job. After paying for food, clothing, and shelter, many people see the rest of their paycheck go to Visa, MasterCard, department store charge accounts, and time payments. So again, he's just stating how all of this obsession with material possessions is going to cause Americans to be seriously in debt and not happy with their lives. So panic sets in when they realize there simply is not enough money to cover all their expenses. Just to stay afloat, people may have to work overtime or take on additional jobs. So again, he's using many generalizations, but most of them are backed up by facts and by details that make his essay overall very valid. And then he finishes up by saying, it is clear that many of us have allowed the pursuit of possessions to dominate our lives. We are so busy buying, maintaining, and paying for our worldly goods that we do not have much time to think about what is really important. We should try to step back from our compulsive need for more of everything and get in touch with the basic values that are the real point of our lives. So here he's giving his own opinion, which is a type of example. It's not necessarily backed up by the facts in his paper, but it is a good way to conclude and get his audience thinking.
I like that he used his title in the conclusion.
So I took the liberty to develop some notes that we should use when we're considering to put Michael's paper into the newspaper. So my first point is that he writes in first person. He includes words like we and us, and he includes himself in all of his generalizations that he makes throughout his paper. My second point is that generalizations are prompted by anecdotes, reflections of his experience. So throughout his paper, he has a lot of experience and short stories about how he thinks this is all being perceived. He also uses cause and effect techniques about the material possessions and a division in families and all that kind of stuff. So third, he entwines opinions in with factual evidence to try to pass off opinions as facts. So he's not actually using any cold hard facts. He's using opinions and making them seem like they're facts based on all the pathos and ethos that he's using in it. Finally, he's very broad. He uses broad generalizations with very specific details. So he says things like, they have to take on additional jobs just to pay for, like, then he says just to pay for things like Visa, MasterCard, department store charge accounts. So he could have just said like certain like credit card accounts, but he had to go into specific things. So yeah.
Speaking of fax, where is fax?
I don't know. Oh wait, I forgot to give her her memo.
We don't really need facts for this paper because Michael doesn't really include a lot of facts in his paper.
Well, an audience like me would get confused by statistics, like numbers and percentages and decimals and everything.